Emily, and it's all about the kids. Yeah. Let's start the game over. Back to the way things were. It's all about the kids. So put your family first. Let's start the game over.
What up, though? What's happening? What's popping? What's breathing? What's talking? It's the Put Your Family First podcast in the building today. And we're going to do what we normally do. I don't know. What do we normally do? Talk about family. All right. And so today, we're in the building with the normal. We added something at the end of the table, but we're gonna start out with Dr. Het. Hello.
Good day, good people.
Good. Brother Dave.
Good day. Best day ever.
All right. Dave came in with the best day ever. And I don't know what's at the end of the table. We got a visitor.
Man, what you play?
Fliz.
How you doing?
Corn.
How you doing?
Corn, I'm calling him Fliz face. Oh, Fliz, that's my cousin Jared. That's his nickname is Fliz. So today we want to get into what do our children need? And we're doing that, and we're calling on you, the audience, to share some solutions as to what our children need. You can call in, chime in. The number will be up consistently. And 810-560-0658. We're looking for your feedback. But what do our children need? Miss Heather?
Do you just want me to give one, or because I have lots?
Yeah, you can give me two. Let me see what you got up on your belt.
Okay. Two, we need sunlight and orange and green vegetables.
Wow.
Carrots. Yo, no, seriously. We do need that vitamin D. We need that for melanin. We need that vitamin D for the health and wealth of our bodies. We need that the carrots, beta carotene, for our eyesight, to be able to read, to be able to focus and understand. Even though we know that if you don't know, it takes years for your vision as a child to fully develop. And so it's not until they become in their late teens that they're even really able to focus on objects. And, that's why so many children end up getting hit by cars, because they don't have their eyes are not yet strong enough to be able to, really give attention to the objects as they're moving and being able to focus on exactly what's happening in front of them. So it takes a little bit longer. So
wow. Repeat that. So they can't say that again?
I said their vision is not fully developed. And because of that, so many children get hit by cars because they can't gauge the velocity of the car. They can't gauge what that object actually is. They don't have a full developmental vision scope. So, and that doesn't happen until they're late in teens, so like 18, 19, 20. That's why we can make our children sometimes make errors in judgment because they don't have the fully developed. So
we're already getting a little feedback. Mark Leonard said our children need fair economic opportunity to succeed and plenty of love.
Absolutely.
All right, Dave, give me two. What you got?
Our kids need to be valued, and they also need to have their caregiver. I would go as far as to say parents, but their caregivers to be present. I think that is significant that every child wants to be valued and appreciated. This is really a part of the development of their constitution of who they are, their identity. And so a lot of times we see self-esteem as compromised because through the course of their development, they find themselves being more put down, or someone is discrediting them, so they don't build that level of knowing who they are. But when they know they are valued and appreciated, it increases their ability to stand up and preserve themselves, because this is a journey. I do want to make this comment, though. Now I realize I wasn't Ray Charles when I got hit by a car. It was all scientific. I got hit when I was 6.
Yeah, a friend of mine, that happened to her too. Happened to her and her cousin. They were walking across Dexter. She just told me that a couple months ago, that they were walking across Dexter and a car hit them. And they said, they were literally under the car.
Yep.
And I actually, that's happened to a few of my friends before they were at that age of maturity.
Yeah, I wouldn't be talking today. It's funny because I was in the 60s and I actually bit my tongue off. They stole it back. Lost a piece of it. Lost my sight. Lost the ability to walk because they had broke my legs.
Wow.
So it was interesting. But here I am, running my mouth.
That's right. That's right. God had something for you to say.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, Ra. What do children need?
Well, if you ask me, I say children should need they should know how to take care of their family. They definitely need education for sure.
There you go.
They need to eat healthy, and they need to take care of their home.
There you go.
Right. That's great insight. How about you, Dr. Calvin? What do you say?
Well, I'm orchestrating today, and I just think
They need humor.
no, I think it's important, right? Which is what I'm trying to get the audience to do, their input, because I want people to express. Because a lot of times people don't get to express what they really want to express as far as a solution or something toward the children. You know what I mean? And because we do our show and give out so much information, that's what today was about, to trying to get more feedback from the audience. But for me, the number one thing that children need is development. There needs to be a precise plan to develop the children when they are born. Because we do too much of the speculation, we do too much of they're going to be all right, we do too much of, not understanding that these environments, scientists says, this is scientists, right? So you can look it up yourself. But the scientists say that the number one determinant for children is environment. That's the number one determinant for successful children, is their environment, right? And so if a child is born as recently as now, right, child falls out the womb, there needs to be a plan by the parents for development. But because we have so many unplanned births, i.e. non-marital, i.e. oops, i.e. Rape, i.e. Mistaken identity, however the case may be, the environment is the number one determinant for why children will have success.
Thanks for that, Kelvin. I want to go back to what the member of the audience commented. He said one of the tools, or one of the objects that's missing or is needed is more love. And I wish he could share a little bit more. If he's listening, if you can share a little bit more what you mean by love. What are you defining when you say they need more love? And so I'd be happy to hear that. I guess when I thought about it, when I heard your comment, I really thought about, not just from the parent, but from the teacher, from the neighbor, from the godparent, from the person at the grocery store or wherever you frequent. That love has to be, assembled in their environment, like you mentioned, Calvin. But I'm curious to know, when they said love, what did they mean?
So I can almost think that everything you just said kind of goes in there. Part of his message, Mark's message, was about economic opportunity. Mm-hmm. And again, I think those things come with the environment. It's amazing how the lens only sees the negative, but never see the positive, right? Mm. And that is an amazing thing, because I've been having this conversation with an old friend through, just sending him images and messages about how we grew up, right? And, his first thing is he don't see nothing successful black. And I'm just sending him black success, mm-hmm. right? Mm.
Did you send him either? Like you're playing.
Right. Well, I'm just saying, thank you, Dave. I'm just really sending him these images, right? The black banks, the whole nine. Mm-hmm. The issue is what is immediately in our direction that really affects our children. Somebody posted about children shooting dice in school in the bathroom, right? Man, they was doing that when you was in school, right? But like that was a brand new thing, right? Like our kids and no. When you don't have a particular plan for a child, people used to always say, "Man, this guy, he just love his kid, and he has a particular plan for his kid." We frowned upon that, right? My son called. Two man. He say, "Dad, just out the sky blue. Dad, was I whiny and all of that? Did I show feminine signs? Mm-hmm. Is that when you showed them?" I said, "Two man, I was there too." Right? I've been there, right? You have erased years, right? But in showing you, I was preparing football. I knew what was in you because what was in me was a good football player, right? Was a good basketball player, but I didn't have me. Mm-hmm. I didn't have that guidance. Right? I didn't have somebody say, "Hey, come on." Mm-hmm. People didn't see like I see. Right. I said, but developing you wasn't hard to bring that out in you because I knew my seed, right? Mm-hmm. But that was a plan from when he was born. Right. We have plans for our children. Just like God has plans for us. Right. And we forget that those plans that God has for us as a father, because y'all knew I was going to bring it back to fatherhood, right? Y'all know we ain't getting away from that, right? Because a father has plans for his children. Mm-hmm. It is no different. Mm-hmm. But in order for you to execute the plan, you have to be present. Right? You have to participate in order for those plans, or else our kids go down a path that doesn't really equate to the plan you may have had for them. So you have to put your hands to the plow. The environment is such an important piece to our children, and that is the number one factor in children's success.
I'm glad you said that. It made me think about at what point we have expectations. Now, you called it plans. I think plans and expectations, have a different suit of tasks assessed to it. So when I think about initially, my expectation is that you'll learn to read and write. You'll learn to ride a bike. You'll learn to get along with other people. These are really my expectations. But when I talk about my plans for you or for your life, I plan for you to be a successful, contributing human being.
Well,
you know what I mean. But we also can kind of lean on some things like. My plan was that my son would be able to play the piano. He would be able to, do it in a way that he was at a performance level. He would be he would be able to use that as a platform for a business opportunity, a platform for scholarships, a platform for all these other things. That was my plan.
Yeah, but
my expectation was that he be a decent human being, that he grow up to be a man of value, a man of contribution. So I think it's a little bit deeper than just the plan.
When you say expectation, right? Mm-hmm. You said you expect. No, you teach. This is the difference between the mother and the father.
Okay.
Is expectation and guidance. You had a plan, but fathers have a plan and have to be because it's the species. You would have a plan for your daughter. You can execute all those things because you have that same species. We have a sense to tune our mothers out. Boys at a certain age.
Yes.
We kind of start early, like 4 months.
I doubt it, because 4 months you're still very dependent on mom.
You're whiny, you do those things. But I'm saying, you get to, you see Dallas the other day. Mom, right? He was putting his mom out the house. Bye, Mom. He's shutting the door. I'm with Papa. He's shutting the door. Bye. He's shutting the door.
And let's be clear, Dallas is 3.
Yeah, he's 3.
Be clear for those who are listening.
Yeah, but 2, 3. This is where they manipulate. Boys begin to manipulate their mothers earlier than girls. Boys begin to manipulate the moms way earlier, right? Because it's a different species. That's a big thing. Mm-hmm. So the big dynamic to that is, this is why the environment, this is why I make this statement, this is why these environments have to be inclusive of male leadership. What you think, Dave?
Yeah, well, I think both of you had a good point, so I'm not going to dab in the middle of that. But
no, I think it was. You're right.
But their plan is the initiation, right? It's the future. The expectation is within the moment as you apply your principles and your values and your standards for the child. And somewhere along the line, you will have to tweak both of them because of the other contributing factors. As you said, male, female, age, medical, physical conditions, mental conditions, emotional conditions. All these different things will play a different part of developing that plan that creates a certain expectation. You can have an expectation in your own mind, but as Dr. Heather said, I had a plan that my child would do this, but as life presents itself, then those expectations along with that plan will be altered. Mm-hmm. Case in point, we look at the Jacksons. Jackson had a plan that his children would become great musicians, but in the child's mind, Jackie wanted to play baseball. So somebody else was governing his ideal of what he wanted to do because he had a plan of expectation, which could have been a rebellion because if Jackie really wanted to go another direction, he could have. So there are a lot of contributing factors to the plan, which God says in Deuteronomy 29:11, I know the plan I have for your life, plan for not harm but for good, for you to prosper and have a hopeful future. Well, you have hope in the future that the child's going to perform accordingly. You had initially started a plan. You don't see no harm come to him. And so all these things start to come into play as that plan starts to unfold. Your expectations will be tweaked accordingly.
So, again, all grand and dreary, we're in my place, we're missing the teaching. See, the teaching is the biggest key to executing the plan. Mm-hmm. Expectations to me is just, I expect this to happen. Teach these things. Mm-hmm. Teach to read, teach to walk, teach to talk, teach to be a good human being. Mm-hmm. Show, right? These are the things, right? That's why I was saying the difference of the two. And the other part, Dave, you tap right back in when you said, when God said, I have a plan. I know the plans that I have for you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, that's the power he gives the Father. Mm-hmm. Because the Father is the guider. Mm-hmm. The Father sees further down. Scientists, we back to the science, right? Fatherhood involvement is we prepare you for, you come out year 1, we're already preparing you for year 3. When you are on hand father, we are doing things different because we begin to prepare. The study shows, Stephen Baskerville's study, where they studied swimming pools, U of M, and they did a 20-year study on studying U of M's and parents' involvement. And the first thing they recognized was the mother always turned the child toward her and embraced her. The father always turned the child out and began to teach. The father turned the child to the danger. How do you handle this water? This is how you see, you can throw the child in the water. The father is right there because the father, that's what he does. And though that's what God does to man. He is going to put you to the fire. He's not cuddling you. That's not his thing. So that's why fatherhood is such a powerful piece. But again, the children need that. Children need healthy co-parenting environments and parenting environments for them to thrive and be their best. What you think, Ra?
Exactly. It's just like what I said.
Yeah, what did you say?
That's why children need to be healthy indeed.
That's right.
You know, I think another thing that our children need, you know, I said vitamin D, but I didn't say fresh air. Like, they really need to be out in the open spaces.
Yes, ma'am.
And recreation, so that they can run and exercise their lungs and take in these deep breaths and fall on the grass and get back up, and, you know, all the things that help strengthen the body.
Yeah.
You know, and if as they're doing that to strengthen the body, it's strengthening the mind, it's strengthening the spirit. It is cultivating a connection between man and earth, between that child and nature. You know, picking up leaves, and we used to make. My mom used to encourage all of the activities in nature, but we used to make dandelion crowns. Like that was a big deal for my mom. Okay, let's get all the dandelions, and my mother. It was never just her kids. It was whatever kids were around. And she was always teaching us something new. But she's always connecting things to nature. You know, and, you know, I'm an official tree hugger. And that's on so many different levels. But it was because of my mom. Because my mom taught us to be reverent of nature. To appreciate the tree that gave us shade. Or the tree that had sap. I didn't know that was sap, you know, and I thought it was blood. I thought trees bleed. I mean, and actually, I believe that they do. I just, you know, I understand now as an adult that it's sap.
And what is the sap for?
What is it for? Other than my pancakes?
Yeah, what is the sap for?
One, it's a food source.
Okay,
for me too. But it's a food source. It is not just for human beings, of course, but for animals. Another purpose of sap is to nourish the tree itself.
Come on.
So it feeds it's a way of feeding itself too, and protecting it. And it's lots of antioxidants in that sap. So where we need that for, you know, to fight disease and fight, you know, other discomforts, the tree uses it too in much the same way to protect itself.
Okay. So that comes down to this next thing. Monique said children need protection and structure.
Ooh, good.
Yes.
Protection and structure, for sure.
Yes, and that's important. And children need literacy. How about that, Chantel? Yes, let's show the. So this weekend, this Saturday, the men of Good Fathers Only and Encourage Me, I'm Young, we will be giving out 200 books to black and brown boys. We're going to keep pushing boy literacy just like we do everything else, boy, because it's important. I love the way this reads, "Building families through encouraging boys and supporting fathers." If that doesn't resonate, I don't know what does, right? So this Saturday, we're going to be there. The men of IOTA is going to bring some breakfast. We're hosting our Lean on the Father in public. Anybody want to come out at 9 a.m.? We're doing a Lean on the Father publicly at the same location. And then at 11 a.m., we're giving out these books. And then the next thing is for April 4th, Chantel?
Yes.
So the next thing is April 4th.
Whoop, whoop.
Ladies, how do you walk in your heels?
Very funny.
Friday, April 4th. Refreshments, margaritas. Grown ladies, only 30 plus. Calling on stilettos, all platforms. I was thinking about bringing my stripper pole.
Help him.
And your stilettos.
Help him.
No, I only wear flats.
Alrighty then.
Yes.
It's gonna be a great time. It's gonna be a great time. It's one of the aspects of that how to walk in heels is really some self-care. We want to look cute, but what do we do after that moment has passed? Right. We have to make sure we're having lots of self-care and lots of shoe hacks.
Dr. Teal.
Yeah. Lots of shoe hacks to take care of your feet and your shoes. So
Yes, Lord.
Well, that's awesome. So Dave, give us another one. What do our children need?
They need to be heard. I think that everybody has a voice, and whether that voice comes in a way of great articulation or limitation, they still need to be heard. Because when we express ourselves, whether we're children or we're full-grown adults, we want to be valued for who we are and what we have to say. What's in a man comes out of a man. So even if a child is speaking and they're telling you the concern that means something to them, not to you, their view of the world, their lens, they should be respected enough to be heard. Sometimes as parents or adults, because we're past that phase and we've gathered a little bit of knowledge, so we say, well, I've been there already. I know that. I know what you're going to say before you say it and all these nice things, because that was your experience. But there's always a twist and turn in everybody's experience. So if a child goes to school and they say to you, my teacher is disrespecting me, boy, you better listen to that teacher, because that's your standard. That's the environment, as Calvin said, the environment you come from. When we were growing up, teachers had a level of authority, and they kind of merited that level of respect. But there were those unique teachers, those unique personalities that could be disrespectful. And if a child came to you, as an example, and said this teacher was disrespecting them, this is how a lot of abuse got pushed to the side, because the parent wasn't listening. They had a voice. So children need to be heard, and then you can decipher whether they're going to the left or the right or they're midway, but they need to be heard.
Caller, you're on the air.
Hey, how you doing, Calvin? This is Mark. I had to call in. How y'all doing? How's everybody
Mark.
doing?
How you doing, Mark?
Good.
I'm great. I'm great. So, So I wanted to elaborate when I said love.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I guess it's because it was something that I don't feel like I received. And it's like a lot of my relatives, my cousins, and it's like it's generational with my family, because there were no men, no men in our family. My two uncles, outside of my two uncles, but there was no father. We didn't have father figures. My other cousins, it's only probably like two of my mother's siblings who got married and had families. But other than that, I just saw no male figures, and I didn't feel that love, because I feel like my mom, she had 3 other kids, and she was too busy, trying to take care of the kids and, be the disciplinary, and she didn't have, didn't know how to administer love, because she didn't see it from what I'm seeing. And I'm just realizing, I'm just looking back and like, yeah, as y'all talking right here, I'm looking back on it, and I don't see that structure, that the kids need to be healthy mentally and physically, and just to provide that atmosphere that they need to flourish. So yeah, it was love. These kids need love, because like I said, I don't feel like I received the right amount of love. My mom didn't know how to show that love, and like I said, I think it's generational with us, because it's so much, and I can see it in all of my cousins, and and yeah, it's just like, yeah, we didn't get that love that we needed to to be mentally healthy, because it's like there's so many issues within my family, and I can see that, yeah, it's generational. And I think, yeah, it was all because of the lack of love. And,
Mark, am I hearing you correctly? Are you saying that the part of that form of love is time? It's time that it's been spent with you?
No, not just that. Like, the only time I really felt love, like when I used to go to my grandmother's house, and she would talk to me. She would ask me how I'm doing in school. She would cook, and she showed me the attention that I wasn't getting, from my mom or anybody else. My father wasn't around, of course. So yeah, that was the only time I felt like and she made me feel like I was somebody, like I was, because she used to always, I was playing football, when I was younger, and she used to always, just talk to me about playing football and just showing me some attention. And it was like my mom, she never did that. She never came to a football game or anything like that. And it was just that, I understand it now, I guess. Right. Yeah, I understand it. So, yeah. And I can see that I did the same thing with my first 3 kids, but I got a 14-year-old, and yeah, most definitely have been, building to be a better father,
Blessings.
Yeah. So,
blessings.
Yeah, so
thank you.
Yes.
So
these kids,
Mark,
they need that love.
That's right.
So Mark, where did you play football at?
I played in PAL League. And then I played in 9th grade at Kettering. Then I started selling drugs.
Okay.
In 9th grade. Yeah.
So you played at PAL League. Who did you play for?
I played for the Chantlers and the Saints, Eastside Saints.
What was the name of your coach?
Bob. Hey, that's him right there, Mr. Whitfield. I made a post about him about a year ago, because yeah, he was a father figure in my life, and he used to encourage me, and yeah, he made me feel like I was something. You know what I'm saying?
The reason why I asked that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we forget ingredients.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yep.
That's the reason for my book that I'm dropping in September. All ingredients count. We forget those ingredients when we are in our process going through life. Like, so when you first came on, you said you didn't get love. Then I said, well, what about the coach? And it triggered that response, right? And you're absolutely right. That is exactly what our children need. The environment in which you grew up in called for you to go sell drugs. You understand what I'm saying? If the environment calls for you to do any other thing, you would have did any other thing. So,
exactly.
You know what I mean? And so I just wanted to make that point, because my point about what our children are suffering in is poor environments that doesn't have the proper ingredients, right, from the parent and from the creation portion. Like you said, your first 3 kids, you wasn't that father. Now here it is, your 14-year-old. You kind of understand that your time, your love, your action items, your action, being there, being at the school, showing, guiding, being authentic, being vulnerable in front of your 14-year-old sons, and expressing those things. Those are all powerful tools of you literally standing in your fatherhood. With the first 3, you probably couldn't, right? Because you was in something completely different. And we missed that wave, man. So I'm happy for you and your family, right? And I'm glad you called in, because that's what I wanted this show to be about, was for the audience to really to call in and share, what do our children really need, right? And then from the perspective of from what you just came from, you need to go over to Emmy Apparel and get you one of them T-shirts and hoodies.
I will do that.
Hallelujah. You gotta go get those hoodies and shirts.
I will do that for sure.
Appreciate your call,
Well,
man.
before you go, Mark, before you go, it's interesting. You said some things, and I said earlier, you need to be valued. And you said that your grandmother help you to feel valued, to be appreciated. Your grandmother allowed you to be heard. And so that would increase, and then the coach would do the same. But I must say this. Normally I would hear this. In the military, the men, when we was doing our men's group, would say they hated their father. And I thought that was a sad statement. And then I would say to them, your father couldn't give you what he didn't have or what he didn't know. So I'll revert this back to your mother. She gave you what she knew and how she knew how to do it at the time. Right. And based on your own observation and through your own challenges, as you said, you went into 3 children doing the same thing. That was, as Calvin said, your environment, and it spilled over. But as you became more mature and insightful, you realized those were some errors of your ways, and now you would make the decision to correct it. Yes. So a lot of times we say, our parents, and my mother used to say this, I love you all, but I have to love you all differently because you're all unique in your own way. So sometimes we think we're not being loved. Maybe they're not being attentive. Maybe they're not being focused in because they don't know nothing about that yet. But as we mature and grow, and again, you know your environment and your situation better, but I like to believe in all people that the innate quality of a parent, mother and father, they love their children. They just don't have the skill set to fine-tune that love.
Exactly. And real quick before I go, I just want to add on to that. Out of the four, my 3 siblings and I, it's like I'm the only one who understands that my mom didn't know how to show that love. And the other 3, I mean, to this day, I mean, it's been hell with them, you know, and because they don't understand. And I always try to tell my brother, I talk to him all the time. He's older than me, you know, he's a couple years older than me, but he still doesn't understand it. My mom did not have the tools, you know, to show you the love, you know, and so that, just wanted to say that, but that it's affecting us to this day. And it's big. So these kids, they need that love. They need that. Yep.
And we're glad that you show up for it.
Yes.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks for showing up.
No problem. All right. See y'all later. All right, Chantel.
All right.
Bye-bye.
So, okay. Give me another one, Heather. What do our children need?
What do our children need? You know what? It might seem small for a lot of people who are listening, but this is huge for me. I think our children have to be able to see off the planet. When I look in my telescope and I can see the surface of the moon, there is something profound about looking with my own eyes and seeing the possibility. Just the fact that I can see off of this planet makes me understand how significantly insignificant we can be. I mean, just in the vastness of a space, you know, we look up and we see a few stars here and there. You know, we see the moon come and go. We see the sun come and go. But really appreciating what you're really seeing. And my father introduced us as a family to astronomy. And he always had a telescope. And, you know, it was a big deal. I didn't really get it. I didn't get it right away. And so as I got older and I got my dad's, his old telescopes, but it was enough. It was enough to understand that there is a moon in the sky that I could see. It wasn't like it hangs in the moon, hangs in the night sky. But when I actually saw it for myself, I'm like, I can see off the planet, you know, and just the revelation of the possibilities that offered me changed how I saw the world.
It's astonishing.
That's a great word for it.
Right.
Astonishing.
It's astonishing. And here's the thing that goes along with that. You don't have to have a telescope to see off the world. Ask Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles, and a number of other
Imagination.
Imagination it's a great way. Dave, give me another one.
I think that children need to be able to understand the meanings of terms they use. That might seem insignificant, but many times, I'll give you a case where I was talking to someone and they didn't see themselves as pretty. So I asked them, what is pretty? And being the age that they were seasoned, they didn't have a definition. And a lot of times, words have so much power that a lot of times, if we don't have the true meaning of those words, then we walk around with limited vision, as you would say. The one reason that Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles, and them could write the things they write, because their imagination allowed them to expand the meaning of those words. So as they write a song, you can see it. You can see when they say, you're my Sherry or more, and you can see when he says, you're the apple of my eye. You can see those things. So when we teach children the meaning of words, so when someone, used to be a saying, sticking stones
may break my bones,
but words can never hurt me.
And that's not true.
That's not true. Because once you understand the meaning of those words, you can reframe those terms that people use against you to use them to help build yourself up. So one of the things my teacher told me as I wrap this up, I used to cuss like a sailor. Well, I thought that was cool. So, I was around a lot of adults, so I cussed a lot. And so my teacher, and her name was Miss Harris, she was like Angela Davis. And she said, individual who used a lot of profanity had a limited vocabulary. Well, me being me, I said, well, that's going to change. And so now I can cuss you out and don't have to use that profanity that that will make you feel bad, but make you wonder, did he just cuss me out? Right. And I had an adult say that, did he just cuss me out? Oh, yeah, I laid it to you. But now my vocabulary had expanded. That's why I respected Malcolm X. Because he could debate with the best of them because his vocabulary was expansive.
And reading is life.
That's right.
This is you have to have more words. You have to have more understanding. You have to research. You have to expand your thoughts and your minds. These are things that are very, very important, because if you don't expand, you cannot grow. That's back to the science, right? Words is water to the brain. The more you read, the more information you take in, right? The more you enhance everything in your body. Scientific understanding of the brain. I add information, the brain responds accordingly in my body. That's why you see seniors doing crossword puzzles, and that is exercise. That is water to the brain. This is why I'm reading. This is why we research. This is why we do these things, because it allows the brain to expand. If we're only using a certain percentage of a brain, the people that does not read or cannot read or do not take in new information or do not learn, you can only imagine that they're not using that much of their brain, so they can only respond, as like Dave just said, right? He took and went and learned more words so he could then espouse, cut you out without using these negative words, so people can understand you in a different way, right? This is why the reading program is so important, why I'm driving at home, because cognitively our children are damaged because we don't put enough words on the brain. So that brings me to my point of the thing that our children need are more words. The average household in marginalized, low-income, promised communities only average 30,000 words. The average educated household, if there's one or a father-led household, which is my statistic, I throw that in there because fathers, a single father household is equivalent on some levels as two parents. That's science, right? So in the process, words help to increase not just knowledge, but expands your value. Words have allowed me to become and work and effort over years, long before the nonprofit, being able to talk and articulate to coaches and people and understand certain things. Those things allowed me to grow into who I am today. There was a book. Heather handed me a book when I was living in Novi. It had 500 programs. And the 500 programs in this book is a big old book. I ate that boy like it was breakfast. And I made sure of it because I wanted to learn what was in there so I could then compare it to the work we did. And it turns out that the U of M certified our mentoring program because we had so many components of those other programs without me even knowing. And I believe that's why she handed me that book. So, but I was able to read it, understand it, and give it back. Here's the book, and here's the understanding. So, with that being said, our children really need literacy. It is one of the most important tools, if not the most important tool, as we just talked about, Stevie Wonder and Ray Charles. Ray Charles' mama didn't play. We ain't see Stevie's mama. But Ray Charles' mama, she didn't play. In the movie alone, the movie probably took off some of the things that we didn't see. Because she was on Ray Charles' head. Yeah. We don't care. No, the world is not going to care that you're blind, son. You know what I mean? You got to be able to take care of yourself.
That's right.
Right? And she brought that home as much as she could to a man that would go on and be a legend. Right? And so that's an important tool that the community, where we see these issues, trash, violence, homelessness, vulgarity, rape, these things, they are synonymous with the absence of literacy. We already know the father is absent. And this is my last message to that because I think it's important. And I'll save it. I guess we got a few minutes, right? Good. So I'll say this. And I'm talking specifically to the dads and the men. We had it all wrong with this pimping thing. We had it all wrong with this drug thing. This society is showing consistently the reaping of what you sow. The seed of the father is in trouble and has been. This is why we are in this work. But I say this to the father because I think it's important. You have to value your seed. You can't give any woman your seed. You can't place your seed into any woman. Shaq is proof. LeBron James is proof. There are plenty. Ray Charles is proof. You can't just give your seed to anyone. You have to value where you place that seed because of those very things. You don't know how God is blessing you. We don't know what you're going to birth. So you have to have respect for the seed, because just putting it out here and spreading it does not make you a man. It makes you, the word, cantankerous to the culture. It is a problem because you're not present to raise that seed. And our boys are screaming and crying, and our daughters are yearning and hurting because you're not present and you didn't value the seed. You gave that seed to someone who just wanted a seed. And we cannot be irresponsible like that any longer. It is important that our children are made of love, not a side piece, not a drive-by, not of rape. It is important. So I'm speaking directly, specifically to the men who will become husbands and fathers. You have to be concerned and protect yourself, not putting your seed into any old womb, because not every womb is fruitful.
Whoa.
Did you want to say something? Did you want to say something? I thought you would.
Well, I thought you were going to get to me, obviously, sometime.
He just said, did you want to say something?
Well, I would want to say something. I thought you would ask me another.
Okay, well, come on.
Why?
Give one.
Well, I'd say what our children also need is to do what they're supposed to be doing.
Elaborate. What do you mean?
Because they're supposed to get on their work at the right time. They're supposed to take care of the house. They have to do the chores, the garbage, clean the toilets,
Yeah.
All right. That's
and do the
mommy.
dishes.
They're responsible.
Even their clothes.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so I want to, if I had to say this one in closing, and I'm totally in agreement with my sister about this, children also need grace.
Yes.
Chantel brought that to our attention. Our children need grace, and
Explain.
Well, offering them grace means that you do remember that you were a child.
That's right.
You do remember that they are a work in progress. You do know that they have not arrived at a destination, but they're on their journey. And so we can sometimes be very critical about where we think they are versus where they need to be. And so offering them grace means that you give them some room. You don't have to be so critical. You don't have to be so harsh. And it's funny because I had that conversation with a client yesterday about being really critical of our children, and how when they speak up, what that sounds like coming back to you. So she talked about her son and how she had been so critical of him that he said, I can't do anything right. Everything that I do, you always have something to say that pointing out that I'm not doing good enough. I haven't perfected this thing, and so he was really having a hard time processing that. And so when he finally told her, she stepped back. She gave him the grace that allowed her to step back and see that her mother was that very same way with her. And so when she realized that, she said that she now is intentionally looking for those spaces where he is excelling and where he's making progress and he's making changes, to acknowledge that and learn how to steal your tongue on some things. You want them to be their best, but she realized that underneath that was her fear. Her fear what might happen if he had to face the world on these terms, and if he had to, make a decision and he fell short of that decision, would he be okay? Would he survive the world? It was her fear that was really speaking to her.
And that's why I said our plans and our expectations constantly need to be tweaked, because that's what she was operating out of, her fear to have a plan that would come to pass with these expectations that didn't consider all the contributing factors that go along with living. So I wanted to bring this to a close here about the power of words, and even as you just said this, say don't speak negatively to yourself, even as a joke. Your body doesn't know the difference. Words are energy and they cast spells. That's why it's called spelling. Change the way you speak about yourself, and you can change your life. The words that we use have impact. They carry power. They carry a force. They're such a powerful force that God said in the beginning was the Word. So when we understand that the words that we say can either lead us left, right, up, or down, we have to be very intentional about how we speak to ourselves and to each other. Because again, if we speak negative to ourselves, we're probably going to be spiraling. I know that's a fact for myself. And I'll close on this. So you said something about showing yourself grace. When I was a kid, I graduated from middle school. It was Noble Middle School, and I remember standing on the corner. Every time I passed that corner, I look at that moment, and I said, Lord, never let me forget when I was a kid, what I was going through. I was 13 years old. And I haven't forgot. Every time I look at a person, I remember when. And that's what the Bible tells us. God's grace is sufficient. God's grace is renewed every day. So we have to show each other grace.
Where can they reach you at, Dave?
Oh, you can reach me at FMAM for Me About Men on Facebook and drome7@yahoo.com.
Dr. Heather?
You can reach me at yourinspired with a D, yourinspiredjourney.com, or reach me directly by phone at 313-759-7855.
It was good having you on the show, Ra.
Thank you so much, Calvin. Dr. Calvin, I should say.
Yes. Rob the man.
Man, thank you guys for having me too.
Mandela.
Thank you.
Oh, Corin probably gonna love this. So you can reach
show
me.
those flyers too before you go ahead.
What you say?
I just want the book flyer to come back up again.
Yeah.
Before we close.
This Saturday, 11 a.m., giving away 200 books, Black and Brown Boys in Southfield. And then the Hills and the Thrills.
Bad girl. Talking about that bad girl. Yeah.
Pretty
So-
funny here.
You can reach me at calvintman.com. I'm currently booking for speaking. And there'll be a new product drop on Emmy Apparel today for first thing tomorrow morning. So, to close, because we have...
Finish. I got you.
In order for us to understand what our children need, we have to understand that the reflection of self is important in our teaching. I know that I didn't get this, and I know that I didn't get that. And when a child is born, I know that I can do this, and I know that I can do that. These things are in our possession. God gives us a child. Remarkably, as we notice, black women are suffering from infant mortality. Black women are suffering from medical apartheid, or whatever you want to call this. Our women are suffering and giving birth to children. The least both of us, the mother and the father, can do is cooperate. Kids need both parents. It is no other way around this. And when we think that one is more valuable than the other, then we partially raise our children and prepare them for others to take advantage of them. And when I mean that, I mean other cultures, I mean other culprits, I mean society. We allow people to misdirect our children when the mother and the father are not on the same page for the child. There is a conversation around stepfathers. Stepfathers are very important. They're very powerful, but he has to be an involved stepfather. You cannot be a stepfather with demands of things that you yourself have no clue to apply to a child. A stepfather shows himself in the right way, in the right meaning, in the process, just like a father and a mentor and a coach. You have to be diligent. Our children, what they need now more than ever are their parents and a village who will help cultivate them to be very, very successful. We must change our environments. My name is Dr. Calvin T. Mann. God bless you and encourage me. I'm young. Peace.
Back to the way things were. It's all about the kids, so put your family